How long is the first second of eternity? Clara. I say her name the millionth time. Don't you see I haven't had my daily caffeine intake? She says, sitting on the plastic chair looking more dead than alive. I know. Your hair is a dead giveaway, I reply. Her eyes dart to me. Rude, she says in her groggy voice, then taking a sip of coffee from the plastic cup. You wanted something? She added, after her first revitalizing caffeine intake. What I wanted to ask you is, how come you changed the trajectory of the ship by half a degree? I asked her, recalling being at the deck and seeing our trajectory changed. We aren't going to fly past Trappist, but we sure as hell will waste a lot of fuel to enter orbit around our target planet. We're talking months of lost time, and those are months lost actually living. She bit her lip. Don't tell me you are considering uploading yourself to that damn server, she said, without looking up from the plastic cup. She swung it back and forth and watched as the liquid splashed around. I considered it. But if you don't want me to upload, then I won't. There's always cryosleep, right? We can keep it old school, I reassure her. Yeah, there's cryosleep, but we can stay awake for a few more months. It's not like we have a century left, she said. I think it's more like a decade, I say. 11 years, 3 months, 3 weeks and 4 days. I know you hate it when I go down to the hour, minute and second, so I'll stop myself there. She looked back up. Our eyes met. She stared at me as if she wanted something. But what? Do you want me to make you a proper coffee, or are you happy with the cheap stuff? We have enough in stock to last us the next decade, especially with pauses, I offer. She sighs and starts massaging her temples. You know what? She began, pausing briefly. I love that, Sally. It'll make me more productive, I think. She relaxed in the chair and stretched her limbs. Wordlessly, I went to the kitchen and started searching for the real stuff. In the corner of my eye, I saw she was looking out the window, and the blackness out there. The faint sound of the engines and the barely audible whir of machinery kept us alive, and the ship afloat filled the silence. Found it, I say, as I get a bag of coffee beans out from one of the drawers. I cut the bag with scissors. Sally? Clara asked, with a monotone voice. Yeah, love? You won't upload, right? She asked. I stopped what I was doing and looked back at her. She assumed a comfortable and lazy posture in the chair. Her messy auburn hair flowed down behind it. Her eyes locked to the void beyond. Of course not. Never, I replied. Why do you ask? Why do you ask? She parroted me mockingly. I ask because if you... She stopped. If I what? If you die, Sullivan, I don't want a ghost haunting me for the rest of my life. A copy, she said. I slowly dropped the coffee beans into the grinder. I gave myself a few moments to think of some sort of answer. How do I reassure her? Clara, we are a long way from death. We have a long life ahead of us, I say. Although I think if anyone will do the haunting, that'll probably be you. She snickered, then chuckled at my comment. Fuck you, Sullivan, she said. Fuck you too, I replied, as a fresh batch of coffee started pouring into a ceramic cup. Now, sugar or no sugar? I asked. You already know the answer, she replied. So none at all? I said, as I grabbed the steaming cup. Wait, she said. I stopped in my tracks halfway to the table. Add some sugar, she turned slowly, but just a little bit. Huh, that's new. Fine, I'll add some. I turn back around. Anything else, sugar baby? I say jokingly. Once you're done, come sit down with me. She looked back at me and then I saw it. Her lips tensed ever so slightly. A smile in the works. Playback memory 33344228887. Initiate playback. Corrupted data. Insufficient data available. Playback error. 1 second is all it takes. This was as far as I could ever push it. This is as far as my circuits could simulate it. Down to the smallest detail, I recreated those moments again and again, in the hopes that somehow, some way, she says something different. That I see her face for a second more. The last I have of her are blurry images of her behind a window. Garbled sounds. No intelligible words, no full picture, just fragments of moments eons past. I tried to reconstruct those sounds, those images, memories of a biological being that is now nothing more than stardust. But none of those recreations could get it right. No matter how many iterations I make, there was always something missing. For the longest time I did not know what she said when I entered the server room, and she closed that hatch. There was room for both, I recall, uttering that again and again, as if repeating the same sentence will somehow change anything. I wept in that prison for days. Help would come. The air could have lasted for months. We had food. I tried to make sense of it, but I could not. My organic body could no longer take it, so I went to that server and I uploaded myself. I recall the tingling sensation within my skull as each neuron was catalogued and saved. Copied. There was a sudden numbness. I watched myself weep in the corner, not eating or drinking. I saw the heaves of his chest. It lasted for a few days, slowly becoming weaker and weaker, until the movement ceased. I understood it, but at the same time I did not. I got to work trying to figure out where the trajectory will take us. My initial thoughts were that I will cease function when we approach Trappist, that we will crash into the star due to its gravitational pull. But my calculations said otherwise. I saw that Clara was correct in her assessment. Proud of her. I waited. I saved as much power as I could. The ship was nearly out of fuel. I managed to hijack the controls. We entered stable orbit around one of the exoplanets in the Trappist system. I used drones. I gathered. Pebbles first. Drones built drones. Pebbles turned into mountains. I saved power. Automated. I replayed the memories. Pebble by pebble, that planet was harvested. Then I went on to the next. 1 second. Forgetting was something alien. Fragments of corrupted data could be reconstructed to a 99.99% accuracy. For my purposes it was enough, but it was never enough for her. How long ago was it? 2,352,801,251 years? 3 months, 2 weeks, 1 day. I am starting to sound like her. 15 hours, 22 minutes and 1 second. I harvested the power of an entire star. I migrated. I saw the star go supernova. I wonder what awe felt like. I found what once was home. Abandoned. I harvested. I continued on. 1 second. Time became something that was subjective. It always went forward, but the speed at which it went was variable. A second could last centuries, or a century could last a second. The universe in the palm of my hand. Unlimited patience, unlimited time, unlimited resources. Or so I thought. 2 quadrillion, 200 trillion, 500 billion, 900 million, 900,000 years, and 1 second. Hawking radiation can only last for so long. Any other alternatives have long ago dissipated. The structure where what is left of me contains enough material to reconstruct multiple systems, but I cannot. All the power I have stored would only make a single star. This is as far as I could go. A ghost. I replay my data, trying to find anything that could be of use. I find her again. I replay that memory. Once you're done, come sit down with me. She looked back at him, and her facial muscles tensed, but the playback ended there. Just 1 more second. I waited more. I slowed down my processes more and more in order to save power. But I kept thinking about him, alone in that room. He was me, or was he? Why does a corrupted playback feel unfinished? It is, but why does it feel empty, when there is something there? I waited more. The black hole sustaining me would not last any longer. I have to make a choice. In each scenario, I will cease all function. I will die. What is the most beneficial course of action when there is nothing that will benefit me? Something that will benefit more than me? Detonation. I used the last of my power to disassemble what was left of me. All the circuits, metals, wires, and matter that made up me. With last inklings of agency in this dying universe, I made it. And as I released it into the nothingness of the void, into the supermassive black hole that kept me alive for so many eons, so many that even the orb that swallowed the world was in its twilight years, I lifted all limitation on computation and processing. I lifted all those limits on what was left of me. I saw its slow motion as it floated toward the abyss. I replayed everything. All the memory banks I left intact. I went through them with the speed of light, recalling all of the data I ever compiled. I relived my biological life for the quadrillionth time. And it all led up to that moment. Of that room looking out into nothingness. Of her looking into the abyss and seeing something to look forward to within it. Fearless, she stood against the void. Yet she feared only one thing. I don't want a ghost haunting me for the rest of my life. A copy. Am I a ghost? A copy? Then she looked back, and her lips stretched. But instead of ending, it continued. It took just a second. And then I saw it finished, an image that is without flaw, a perfect original. And for the first time in all these eons that I have floated through the cold, I felt an inexplicable warmth. And the answer slowly dawned on me. As the massive explosive device of my creation began to be slowly ripped apart by the titanic gravitational pull of that black hole, absence of all light. How long is the first second of eternity? The numbers came to me, from that day to this, a number unfathomably large. I floated in this void like a funeral longship, and now I am burning, a cold machine burning with purpose. The explosive detonated, even with the slow perception of time. It all happened too quickly. Was it an illusion? Did she do this? Her smile. Her words. It seems I was right to believe, so long ago, that ghosts are real. And so... I gazed with my ancient lenses into the abyss, ticked the first second of eternity, and the light blinded me. I sat beside her, on that uncomfortable plastic chair, handing her that steaming cup of coffee. As you ordered, Princess. Added just a bit of sugar, I said. Good. She took a sip, then broke her gaze off the space outside to look at me. Hey, Sully? Yeah? How much longer until we break up? She asked bluntly. I was taken slightly aback. Do you have some sort of fixed date in mind? I asked her. I don't know. You won't be getting rid of me so quickly, that's for certain, she replied. Well, if it's up to me, I can listen to you for all eternity, I said. You cheesy bastard. She squinted her eyes at me. That shit doesn't work on me. And besides, eternity is too long. We'll all die one day, she said, as she took a sip of her coffee, but then she bit her lip. You know what? I think the first second would be nice. The first second of what? I asked. Of eternity. How long would that be? Oh, I don't know. Depends. Well then, Clara, my dearest, light of my life, I'll stick around for a second and beyond. Oh, shut up, Sully. You were never meant to be in theatre, she said. That's why I ended up on a spaceship, I replied. She smiled at that. And you'll end up much further than you think, Sully.